Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have a different kind of video. I'm trying to replicate a TikTok video of an upcycled pumpkin. That's right, upcycled pumpkin, where I used, well, basically recycled materials to make these sweet pumpkins. I had virtually no instructions and just a 1-minute TikTok clip to sort of figure out and get the general idea. So stick around with me to the end of this video and I'll share with you how you can win one of these sweet pumpkins for your own. You can keep it or you can share it with a friend. So let's make some pumpkins.
So here's the deal. I found a video on TikTok where they cut apart cereal boxes and snack boxes and use the cardboard and toilet paper tubes to make amazing pumpkins. They looked so handmade and so cool. They look like they're made out of some sort of straw or wicker. I loved them, so I want to see how it works out. So I want you to come along with me as I make these for the very first time. So we'll see how this goes. I have no idea. All right, the first thing we're going to do is cut apart the box and take the top and the bottom off and make it just a big flat piece. Then we're going to turn that over, and I used a ruler to make little 1/2-inch increments. Can you see those along the top edge? And then I'm taking my ruler and I am actually going to mark and draw from top to bottom these strips going down the length of the box. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut these into strips. And you want to keep your strips as straight as possible. Just stick to those lines if you can. If you have a paper trimmer, that's ideal. A new blade should cut through this relatively easy. And once you get this all cut, the next thing we're going to do is paint them. And I just have no idea how this is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. So stick around. Let's see what happens. All right, so I've already finished doing all of my strips. This is just some of them. I ended up cutting up another box because I really don't know how many this is going to take at this point. I cut 70 strips. That was about 2 of those boxes that I showed you. So at the end, we'll see how many it really took. So I wanted to make sure and have plenty. And I've already started painting them orange. And in the original TikTok clip I saw, they actually constructed the pumpkin and then painted it. But that kind of was a sign to me that maybe you still need to paint the sides of them a little bit, otherwise you're going to have this cardboard edge. So I wanted to cut them apart and paint, 4 to 6 at a time. Using a foam brush makes this go, whoops, really, really fast. And just like this, and I'm just doing, wow, there we go. I'm just doing this very, very quickly and 1 coat of paint. I don't want a thick coat because I don't want the paint getting too thick and cracking and chipping off. And so just 1 thin coat. And I suspect that because I have this thin coat on here, these look like these pieces of cardboard look a little stained, I don't know, like wood strips or maybe even like leather strips, which is really cool. I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. So once we get to this part right here, I just used this really inexpensive orange paint. I got this at the dollar store. I just had it on hand. So that's what I'd used. Because I was just doing a thin coat. I wasn't worrying about coverage. Then I'm going to take this one here. This is Thicket Bisque folk art paint that I got from Hobby Lobby, also in my little paint stash. And I'm just going to use the same brush. And what I'm going to do is just paint kind of a little bit of green at one end. Just almost just it's not dry brushing because my brush is a little bit wet, but just like this, because I want one end of the strip to have a green tint, like a pumpkin, sometimes a variation of color around the stem. So that was my thought there. So I'm going to finish doing that. But before I do, I wanted to show you one more thing that needs to dry when we take a break. I want to show you how to make coils for our little pumpkins. These would be tendrils for the pumpkin. And we do this using some twine, some Mod Podge, both of which came from the dollar store, and something like a pencil. And then also, continuing with our little recycling theme here, I'm just using a little bit of a candy corn bag. So just a piece of plastic. We're going to wrap that around the pencil like this. Put a piece of tape on that. All right. And then for each tendril, we're going to be using about 12 inches of twine. We're going to just wrap it up like this. Take a little Mod Podge. Come on out. There we go. And then we're just going to cover this jute twine with Mod Podge. And then we're going to wrap it around the pencil and let that dry for a couple of hours. And then when that's all done, because of the plastic, we should just be able to slide that right off. And I've done this part before, so this is not experimental. So I like to let it dry just across something like this, just to kind of let it get some airflow around it, but that's all there is to it. So it just occurred to me when adding green to the ends of my orange strips that I really only needed to do about 20 of them that way to just be on the top layer of the pumpkin. So save some time and not do this whole stack. So I did about 20 of them with green kind of brushing on one end. All right, so now we have all the rest done here. It's time to start our gluing. So I've got my glue gun ready here. Make sure it's plugged in. Yes, it is. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, and I should mention, if you come across any that have that are crooked or maybe a little thinner than the rest, you could start with those and they'll be on the base layer and nobody needs to know. All right, so we're going to put a little bit there. Okay, and then I don't think we need to bend it or crease it. Maybe we do. Okay, we're going to hold that. And then we're going to go around to this end. See, they're kind of like that. Do we need to trim these, I think? Yeah. All right, we're learning as we go. So I think the best thing to do is just kind of turn over and pinch one end. And we're going to put a little glue on there. And just kind of like that. All right, so that's the first one. So we're going to glue the first like 4 to 8 on here and then take a break, and then we'll see how I'm progressing here. So we're not going to just watch me glue all like 60 or 70 of these on here. All right. Also, what I could do when we take a break is I'm going to trim these. Now I know how long they're going to be, and then I'll let you know how long I trim them. All right, so my plan is to kind of go and do 4 that are evenly spaced, like across from each other. Come like that, and we'll do a couple more. You know, I have to honestly say I've not done a toilet paper roll craft since my daughter was in elementary school. And if this turns out like I think it will, as I hope it will be a much better quality craft. I'm hoping this is going to look a little more high-end than those elementary school toilet paper roll crafts. So, you know, But we'll see. That one I cut a little long. All right. So there's the first 4. I think we'll stop there, and I'm going to trim the rest of these to the correct length now that I know kind of the shape that we're going for here, and I'll glue some more on and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Okay, so now I have got 8 glued around. I just glued from the 4 that I had, I just glued 1 in between each one after cutting these down to 6.5 inches long. Okay, that was a big help. So I've learned a couple of things gluing these 8 on. You want to fold down one end, oh, that's about 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and then you put a little bit of glue on here. And now we're going to glue that between the other 2. You're just going to pinch that and hold it. Don't get any hot glue on you. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other end. Pinch that over. A little bit of glue. And then we're going to let that kind of bow out. And we're just filling in that space. So we're going to do that all the way around. And then the next layers will go between these open layers. And we're going to do that until we run out of this batch. And we're going to end it with the last 15 or 20 of the ones that have green ends. Okay, so I'll just do a couple of more of these. And then we'll move on. Oh, another thing, I think it's helpful just to kind of curve them a little bit like that when you're putting them on. Okay, so I've done this one. I got to do this one right here. And depending on how straight your toilet paper roll is, you might kind of have to pull them or tweak them a little bit. I was thinking too, you could use much longer strips and a paper towel roll for making very tall pumpkins. So that would be cool. Okay. I think as we go along, I'm getting faster. Okay. So we've got this side done. We're going to take a break and I'm going to finish the other side and probably just keep adding layers when I come back. All right, we're back and I have used all but 5 of my all solid orange strips. Okay, so out of the 70 strips I had, I set 20 aside with green. We're doing math now, so that's 50. So I used 45 strips to cover this. Here's the other thing I learned. I cut them all to 6.5 inches long, but I didn't take into account that as you're building them up, the dome gets wider and you're needing longer strips. So future or past me, I would say cut them to 7 inches. Cut them to 7 inches. But we can still make it work. All right, so now I'm going to take the ones that have that green tint. Oh, there's an extra one. The green on it, and we're going to have those kind of go over and then fill in any last areas we have. And I'll just do a couple of these and then we'll fast forward. Okay. See what I'm having to do because it's not wrapping around, okay? But that's okay because I can still correct that at the bottom, make it look nice at the end. I'm definitely going to make more of these, and we can see at the end of this I will show you the new and improved ones as well. So as I'm gluing here, and I've got you guys, that one's really too short, so I'm going to do this. I'll just mention that it would be great if you could subscribe. My channel is very new and I'm looking for subscribers. And while you're subscribing, if you like any part of this, a thumbs up would be great. Really helps people find my channel. And hitting that notification bell. I post every Monday. And you don't want to miss anything because I do lots of seasonal crafts. I love paper crafting. That's my favorite. And this is the first time, if you're new to watching, this is the very first time where I have done a craft where I have not done it ahead of time. I am just taking something that I saw on TikTok and I'm sort of testing it as we go because I just was doing an experiment. I wanted to see like how easy would that be to do with virtually no instruction. And you know, there are no measurements, no instruction. Yeah, it is required for this craft. All right, I think we're just gonna do this last one and we'll take a break. Okay, so when we come back, this will all be finished. All right, so now we've got all of those sort of brushed green areas on our pumpkin. Now it's time to do the stem. And for the stem, we are going to need a paper grocery sack, preferably craft paper. And we're gonna take, on the side that has the least printing, we're gonna go ahead and take the handles off. And we're gonna use our scissors to cut just that layer. And the most important part is the length of the bag, more so than the width. All right, that part done. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the part that has the printing on it. So we're actually going to just fold that up a little bit, and then we're going to crinkle this together. This is going to be the base of the stem, and the rest of this we're going to twist. Twist. And then when you get to this sort of end part, I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the middle. Not so much that it's going to squeeze out all over our fingers, but just enough to hold everything at that end together when we're twisting. Okay, are you getting me? All right, so now we're going to take some glue, put some glue in here. Just really going to be holding this in place. I mean, it's not a functional stem, so it doesn't have to have a lot. Okay, so that's going to look like that. And then I'm going to kind of loosen it up a little bit so it fills the space. And then we're going to take this and we're going to turn it kind of like that. And then don't worry about this spot because we're going to make it look better with some leaves. Leaves. So this is a future digital download. It's just a sketch I made. Okay, so we have two leaves, a large and a small, and it's, you know, just a sketch. And then we've got a half leaf. Why a half leaf? Well, you could download these, cut out the full ones, and then trace them. Or you could do this little time-saving thing where you take a piece of paper. Now I'm using book page. Don't come for me. This was from a damaged book that could not be saved. And I use it strictly for paper crafting. So, would never tear up a perfectly good book. So, here's my half leaf. And what I'm going to do is just put this on the fold and cut around it, and then when I open it, it'll be a full leaf. Remember like those hearts you used to do on Valentine's Day at school when you folded the paper? Same idea. Now, this is going to be directional though, because we want our leaves to look like this, where when they're put on the pumpkin, I like to have it so the text is directional so you can read it. So we're going to have our leaves face downward on the text. Okay, and then I'm going to use some tiny scissors. You could trace this with a pencil, or you can just cut around it like this. Using small scissors when cutting out sort of delicate small shapes is probably the the best way to be successful at cutting, using the right scissors for the right job. All right, so there is our leaf shape. And now we're gonna take this, and I have some small ones, I think, cut out. We're gonna take 2 shades of green ink. This is evergreen, and this is olive, and there's sort of a dark and a limey green. And we're just going to put the dark green right there around the edges, just to invoke that color, that bright green color that is surrounding pumpkins during this time of year when they are growing. That's why we have the little bit of green on our pumpkin. Oh, oops, sorry, pumpkin leaf. Gently ink it. That's okay, we can hide the tear. All right, so there we on that. All right, so now we're gonna take, and I have a couple more here. We're gonna take the torn leaf. We'll put a little glue there, but mostly glue there. We're gonna put that right up there around that not so attractive opening. Like that. You can put a small one here. I think right layering them would be nice. Just like that, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of bring the stem kind of down and around, just like this. And we're gonna glue it in place right there. And you're gonna have to hold it for a minute to make that glue just really take. Just put an interesting curve on that. And then while we're waiting, we can glue some more leaves. Right there. Single-handed gluing, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Okay, now, I'm going to set this aside to dry. I suspect it's not quite stuck enough, but will it hold? Yes. All right, the next thing is our little coils, our tendrils. They're gonna look like this for our pumpkins. This one has been drying for a few hours. So we just kind of get it started. You wanna hold on to the plastic part of it that's on the pencil and then just push down like that. And then they're just gonna come off just like that. Plastic is really important. If you glue that directly to the pencil, then it just doesn't wanna go. So we're gonna glue these around our little pumpkin, cover up some of our little oopsies. I like to cut these in half. And then you can just sort of pull them down just a little bit. And then we're going to put a little glue right here and just sort of tuck them behind things. And we'll do another one right there. There we go. And then we can also just take a little dot of glue and then just touch it to the pumpkin to stay kind of in a curve, like. There we go. And if you're getting lots of little strings like this, no worries. You can just sort of turn your hairdryer on hot and point it at these areas, and those little glue strings will just evaporate. They'll just disappear. All right, so yeah, I've got a lot of glue strings on this one. All right, you guys, so pretty happy with my pumpkin. Definitely noticed some issues with cutting the lengths. Definitely wish I would have cut my lengths of strips on this one to like 7 to 7.5 inches long instead of the 6.5 inches, I think it was, that we went with. That's what gave it kind of this, I don't know, this shape instead of being a little more squared off. But I did make some additional sizes on one of my breaks. When that was starting to happen, I was like, okay, what's going on? And so I made a couple of more of these in smaller sizes. And how I did that was I just started with a smaller size toilet paper tube. So for this one, I used 3/4 of the toilet paper tube, or maybe like even 2/3. Yeah, 2/3 of the toilet paper tube. That's about how tall that one was, okay? And then I just adjusted the length here. And you'll notice this one is still starting to kind of go upwards like that a little bit. So what I really feel like I got it going on this one, which was a toilet paper tube cut in half. All right, and so for this one, this little small one, for this one, let me see, I cut these, these are 6.5 inch length ones, just like I used for this one, but they worked much better for a pumpkin half the size. And let me show you. Oh, I forgot to bend that one. Okay, so I'm gonna set that right there and then bend that. All right, so there we go. And I'm just gonna show you by doing the quarters there. So by having it bow way out like that, that worked way better than sort of reaching it along the surface of the toilet paper tube. Just really finding that bow, that arch, and then, boy, my coils are going everywhere. And then just doing that so that it really gave it some dimension, and that it kind of had this flat bottom and a flat top instead of one that was curving up, if you get what I mean there. So I'm gonna just put these pieces here so you guys can get that shape. And remember too, sometimes it's nice to go ahead and curve them. There. So yeah, that worked out really nicely to do it like that. Oops, I need another glue stick. All right, so that one's gonna go there. All right, so really getting this surface kind of like the flat like that, and the same on the bottom, really helped. And then go ahead and do the 6, 7, 8, and then glue between them, and then another layer all the way around till those are filled. Okay, so that really, I feel like, was the winning combination there to get to this one. So this one I still have to add my tendrils too. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to mention, first of all, how much I appreciate you watching, how much I am looking for subscribers. It really helps my channel grow, you guys, when you first watch all the way through. And if you have any inclination of giving me a thumbs up, that really helps people find my channel as well. And then subscribing and hitting that notification bell right up there at the top right is really helpful. And then I will also tell you, if you do those things, plus leave a comment about my little experiment, what you thought about me taking on a TikTok craft project and just really figuring it out and filling in those huge gaps from those little 1-minute videos and figuring out the instructions. I liked it. I thought it was a great challenge. So let me know if you want to see more things like that. And also, I want to tell you how you can win one of these 2 pumpkins, one of the better ones. The third one I think I will put in a little collection for a thumbnail, but no, this is not my favorite one. I really liked how these 2 turned out. So if you subscribe, if you comment, if you like, and if you hit notification, then I am going to choose one of you randomly, and I am going to pack up one of these pumpkins and ship it to you. And you can have this for your home. And hopefully try one for your own. I had a blast doing this, you guys. This was really, really fun for me. And I hope that you watch again. That would be great. And I'll see you in the next one.